A very pleasant evening to you, dear listeners. My name is Dianna Wright, and welcome to Between the Lines, right here on www.afjamradio.com. I'll be with you up until, maybe 7, maybe 8 o'clock. I don't know. According to how the vibes flow. We'll take our time and we make sure that we get it done. Today is the 11th day of June 2025. It is now 10 minutes to the hour of 6 o'clock. And then coming up at 6 thereabout, we will be having a very special guest. His name is none other than Mr. Sean C. Harrison. The brother is an author. He has 10 publications under his belt. He's also a musician and a singer. I call him a psalmist because when I listen to his songs, that's what that's how I interpret it. So tell a friend to tell a friend. It's www.afjamradio.com. Yeah, to start the program off this afternoon, I kind of like to mix up my moods and attitude, so I'm going to start off with one of my own songs, one of my favorites. The song is called Big God. Of course, we're off to a little bit late start. Normally, we log on at 5. We come on at 5, but hey, things happen, but I say all praises be to the Most High anyway. So big up yourself to all the listeners out there wherever you are, and those of you who are tuning up to listen to Mr. Sean C. Harrison. I have to make sure I emphasize on the H because I keep making a mistake with the H, So it's Mr. Sean C. Harrison at 6 o'clock this evening. The author, he has 12 publications under his belt. He's a musician, he's a singer. And yeah, so, I know the kind of mood we're going to get into. So I'm kind of setting the pace already. Good afternoon to you, Pastor David Grant over there in Kingston, Jamaica. Big up yourself. Also to your beautiful wife, yeah, and children. I see a portrait of you guys the other day and I'm like, wow, beautiful children that comes from a beautiful couple. So this song is called Big God. Yeah. So enjoy.
By adversity, though he slay me, yet will I trust him. I serve a big God, a mighty big God. Even the lions in the jungle obey him. He makes the lightning and the thunder behave. Yahweh is my big God, yeah. He's the true God, the only true God. Even the prophets and the patriarchs hail him. That's why I love and obey. Yahweh is the true God, yeah. Oh, I'm gonna ride it out. Gonna ride this storm out to ride it out. Gonna ride He's the true God, the only true God. Even the prophets and the patriots hail him. That's why I love and obey. Yahweh is the true God. I could write my story in the sand of time. Tell you every tale of sleepless nights I had. How I stayed down on my knees and won the fight. This ain't poetry or sweet nursery rhyme.
I cling my health when, yes, so this one is reaching out to all those of you who are listening right now. And if you're especially on a spiritual journey, I said, big up yourself. This one is reaching out to you and for you. Yes.
I claim my health when health was gone. I told myself, boy, I can move on. Hey, that's why I serve a big God, a mighty big God. Even the lions in the jungle obey. He makes the lightning and the thunder behave. Yahweh is my big God. Hey. He's the true God, the only true God. Even the prophets and the patriots hail him. That's why I love and obey. Yahweh is the true God. Yeah. Gonna ride it out. Gonna ride this storm, gonna ride it out. Gonna ride it out. Gonna ride this storm, gonna ride it out. Gonna ride it out. Gonna ride this storm, gonna ride it out. Gonna ride it out. Gonna ride this storm, gonna ride it out. I serve a big God.
Yes, of course, all praises be to the Most High. So shout out to all the Israelites listening. Shout out to all the Christians listening. Shout out to just about any and everyone listening. If you are from Islam, if you are from the religion of Islam, wherever, it is so funny. Hold a second, Mr. Hill, it ain't your turn yet. Sometimes we say to ourselves that, we are doing the right thing and we're serving God and but yes, can you imagine the thing that brings us to the Creator is the very thing that divides us. I've never heard anything of the sort. I don't understand it. And people, they just think that they are right. This one saying, okay, you ain't right because you don't serve him this way, you don't pray this way, you don't whatever this way, and that kind of thing. But, we're here to make it work. We're here to build ourselves up. We're here to because the thing about it, people, no matter what you say or how you say it, you've only read about it. You've never seen an angel swarm down, just swoosh down from the sky to deliver you from nothing. Do you know how many innocent people are locked up behind bars? Do you know how many innocent people need some help? It's going to take people. It's going to take you and me. It's going to take my hands, your feet, my mind. Your money is going to take us. It is people. This is a people relationship that we're having. The Creator is there. You can't do nothing about it. You didn't bring yourself here. You don't know nothing. You just have to do with what you see. But what's true and what's real is that all we know is us. All we have is us. So yeah, it is a good day. It is a beautiful day. So people, stand by and do remember to tell a friend that we have a very special guest coming in the house this evening, Sean C. Harrison, the publisher, the singer, the writer, the author, the poet. This brother, very intelligent man, and he has just as a calm spirit, He wears a lot of hats, so he's going to unfold. He's going to tip the hat, take them off one by one so we can see what's going on under there.
Afjam Radio, where creativity meets ingenuity. Don't want to pay for high monthly subscription, but need to hear your favorite artists on the go? Afjam Radio is global, 24/7 global. Whether you're in the high hills of South Africa, Europe, the Caribbean, Asia, or US of A, we are your mainstay. Curious yet? Listen to our conversations, interviews, audio movies, poetry, storytelling, and so much more. Feeling down and need inspiration? We play daily motivations on the hour every day just for you.
Hard times the people them are feeling.
Have questions about clarity? Or rich, crisp sound is literally music to your ears. Come check us out at www.afjamradio.com. Afjam, finally radio.
Secret chord that David played and it pleased the Lord, but you don't really care for music, do ya? Well, it goes like this: the fourth, the fifth, the minor fall and the major lift, the baffled king composing hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. Strong, but you needed proof. You saw her bathing on the roof, her beauty in the moonlight overthrew ya. She tied you to her kitchen chair, she broke your throne and she cut your hair, and from your lips she drew the hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. No matter where I got you, you can always say hallelujah. So just count your blessings, big or small. I did my best, it wasn't much. I couldn't feel, so I tried to touch. I've told the truth, I didn't come to fool ya. And even though it all went wrong, I'll stand up to
I like this version. I like this version. I like this version. How are you feeling about this one, Rodney? It's a beautiful one. I think I want to pull that one up again. I'm waiting to connect with Mr. Harrison. It's going to be like about maybe the next 8 minutes or so before we connect with him. But don't go nowhere, people. Stay with us. Stay with us. We're getting it together. All right. Just stay right there. It is now 3 minutes past the hour of 6 o'clock. And I'm rocking your world. I have a very, very interesting guest this evening. Only not going nowhere. Sit tight, yeah? Yes, of course, that is the unmistakable voice there of Mr. George Nooks. The brother says, don't cry. God is standing by. So no matter what you're going through, no matter how it feels, whether your burden is light or not so light or heavy to the point of pressing you down, don't cry. I know it's easier said than done, but sometimes you do need to cry, Sometimes you do need to shed a tear and just get it out in the open and let everyone know. Not just to let people know, but also to rid yourself of the unnecessary burden, because I think we carry too much burden, especially, our men are told, don't cry, be tough about it, but no, if you need to shed some tears, shed it and be done with it. Yeah. It is now 15 minutes after the hour of 6 o'clock and our guest is standing by. So you just hang on. After these commercials, we're coming right back to you with our interview. Stand by, people.
Vibrant Afjam Radio, the only one that feels my satisfaction. Vibrant Afjam Radio, when I'm tuning, no distraction. Beautiful black woman, You are the royal daughter of Mount Zion. Beautiful black woman. Hey, Afjam I play them tune, you know. Remember, Gumba culture. Don't move the dial. See? Yeah, man. Rastafari.
Sister Diana said, how could I say that everything around smooth when poor people still can't afford food? Afjama said, how could I walk joyfully through them town when every day another youth get gunned down? Leaders, we need some solution right now in this time. Yeah, man, listen up to Afjam Radio, man, bringing the people in positive vibration, solution, you know, restoration, yeah, man, meditation, more music, musical vibration, prophecy, general.
My sound are the people sound. My sound are the heavyweight sound. My sound it a jungling sound. My sound make the crowd gather round. My sound it afraid of no sound. Brrr, now me say kill all sound. My sound make them run out of town. Brrr, brrr, kill every sound. Drop my sound are the people sound. People sound. People sound. My sound are the heavyweight sound. People sound. It a jungling sound.
Finally, it is now 17 minutes after the hour of 6 o'clock, and my name is Dianna Wright. Welcome to Between the Lines. This is a very, very beautiful day. It is Tuesday, it is Wednesday, but the time is just flying, flying so fast. Everything is just going fast, yeah? So we do have a very special guest here, in the house, and we're going to be talking with him today. He is none other than Sean C. Harrison, and that gentleman, he is a poet, he's an author, he's a musician, he is a singer, and most importantly, he is a Jamaican. So without further ado, I want to say a very special welcome to you, dear Mr. Sean Harrison. Welcome to Afjam Radio.
Good evening. Thank you. Good evening. It is my pleasure to be here. Yes.
Awesome. Well, we're glad to have you. It's been a long time coming. I have had your information for quite a while, but because we had so many other persons that we that were before you, so we thank you so much for your patience. And now I believe that is going to worth the listeners' while. Someone reached out to me on WhatsApp and said that I know this gentleman very well, and this is going to be a great interview. That's Pastor David Grant over there. Do you know him?
Yes, indeed. I know him very well. He was one of my towers of strength in another dispensation in my life when I was in the early stages of mental illness. And boy, did he really bear me up, and did he really shepherd me, comfort me, he encouraged me. He really was my rock, one of my mainstays in that dispensation of my life.
Wow.
Yes, I thank him so much. I thank you, Pastor David Grant, from the bottom of my heart, as well as Sister Juliet Grant. Yes, I do. Yes.
Well, shout out to you, Pastor Grant. I know he is listening. Pastor Grant and Sister Juliet Grant over there in beautiful, beautiful Jamaica. It's wonderful. It's wonderful, and I'm so glad that you were their mainstay and that you stood by him and helped him through. It's a blessing. It's a blessing when, like I said earlier, we always look for God, to come from the sky and all of those things. But the real issue, the real issue, the real thing is between us, among us. And when we can start to live like, we are all we got, then life will be better. I tell you so. So there's a very special poem I want to play for you, because I did hear you mention about, mental illness. But before that, I'd like, my listeners are listening, and I would like you to introduce yourself to the listeners, sir. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. I As was stated, Sean C. Harrison, Jamaican singer, songwriter, poet, general writer, mental illness sufferer, as well as mental health advocate. I had my roots in the wonderful parish of St. Thomas, Jamaica, in my community of Red Hill Spen and its environs, where I grew as a tender plant, out of dry ground, so to speak, as the word says. And little did I know that my journey would have taken such interesting twists that, looking back, I can say it is nothing but the grace of God and the goodness of many human souls who brought me to this place where there were many adversities, many trials, many setbacks, but the Spirit of God was guiding. His angels were watching over, and wonderful people were there to comfort me and to usher me along. A very difficult journey, a bittersweet journey, yet, one that I am proud to speak of, as I know that my life was and is one of purpose. Now, having grown up in St. Thomas, Jamaica, I started out in a very musical and dynamic family setting where my mother, Mrs. Patricia Harrison, now deceased, and my father, Mr. Lascelles Harrison Sr., my siblings, Lascelles Harrison Jr., or Dave, Dexter, Orlando Harrison, now deceased, and Sandy Sharna Harrison, who is, who are all away now. We had many good times, yet there were times that were not so wonderful. And, I don't think there is anyone who comes into this earth who does not have a moment or moments that he looks or she looks back on and says, I wish that were a little bit different for me. But, I remembered growing up in the Red Hills Pen community, where I ran the streets and lanes and hillsides, fearless and free as a little boy who loved fruits and loved to play with his friends. And, it has been home for me for a number of years, even to date. And I just love being here, to tell you the truth. I remembered growing up also in a very musical family where my mother was a part of the trio in the Seventh-day Adventist Church, the Morinville Seventh-day Adventist Church, called the Trisons. And my father was also a part of a quartet called Heralds of the Hour. My father was also the designated organist and pianist for the Morinville Seventh-day Adventist Church. And in that place, though I hold bittersweet memories, in that place I was allowed and given the chance to hone my talent for singing and to nurture my abilities as, my God-given abilities. And I look back in many instances in that place, the Morinville Seventh-day Adventist Church, with such fondness as I received so much love and acceptance from the brethren who were very, very kind to me and supportive in a number of respects. I have now parted ways with the Seventh-day Adventist Church, but I do hold many, many fond recollections, and I thank them so much for the foundation that they gave me. Now, I started out singing at age 3, and I was told by a family friend and church sister, Miss Hyacinth Shaw, that I did my first full-length concert at the Anglican Church Hall in Morinville Bay, St. Thomas, Jamaica. I did my very first full-length concert at the tender age of 3 years old.
Wow.
And since then, I have known nothing to have brought me as much joy and solace as to sing the wonderful strains and sounds of music. And even though, as I grew, a number of adverse circumstances would have railroaded my lifelong dream of being a world-renowned minister in song or singer or artist or recording artist. I really have to say that dream to one day sing, in public and, for the world, is still burning in my heart. But
Wow.
I thank God that even though as I grew and, sadly, at age 19, was spiraled into the world of mental illness, and had to shelve those dreams. I am glad that I was able to divert and I was able to do other things. I found other abilities lurking inside of me, such as poetry writing, as well as songwriting, writing in general. And I tell you, I am just glad that God decided that when I was not, going to do what I dreamt of, before again, he decided that he was not finished with me. So a little before I fell ill at age 19, I was enrolled in the Morant Bay High School, and it was there also that I got the chance to explore my musical abilities, and I would sing. As I did all over the parish of St. Thomas, I would sing, constantly. Every devotional exercise, every concert, every valedictory service, every choral service, every graduation, I was given that I was the mainstay at the Morant Bay High School and also in the Morant Bay the Adventist Church, as I said. I sang constantly, and my gift was well and widely received. Now, when pressures that, came from family tensions, as well as personal struggles spiraled me at age 19 into mental illness, my world changed, my perspective changed, but I am thankful that Jehovah never changed and still never changes. And because of his unfading love, his constant guiding hand and his direction, I am here standing today, not totally free from the shackles of mental illness because I still have to take medications, but I am thankful today that I am in a much better place than I ever was. I remembered, after having fallen ill at age 19, having had to leave my first job at the National Commercial Bank, coming back home to St. Thomas to recuperate, and, after having been diagnosed, I ended up a few years later enrolling in the Edna Manley College of the Visual and Performing Arts, where I pursued a performance certificate course, under the leadership and the headship of Mr. Maurice Gordon, who was our head of department and one of our lecturers, a very great musician. And it was quite an experience, being in a place where I was doing exactly what I love to do, and was shining. I was excelling at it. I was actually, at the top of my class, in that instance. But when the third semester came around, sadly, I broke down. I wasn't on medications and I broke down and had to return to St. Thomas, Jamaica, had to shelve those dreams of becoming a performer. But, the spirit of determination, that I think I inherited from my mother, Mrs. Patricia Harrison, especially, wouldn't let me stay down. I came back home from the Edna Manley College of the Visual and Performing Arts, taught myself the rudiments of the keyboard, went back to my notes, and I taught myself some of the elements of musical composition. And, you know, for some of the songs that I would have written, that I would have started writing from age 14, I actually made backing tracks for some of those songs. And it wouldn't have been until many years later, because what happened was that the medications I took for mental illness took away my voice, sadly. And that was one of the main reasons why I was not able to pursue it professionally.
Wow.
And so I had been writing all of these songs, couldn't get anybody to sing them. I couldn't sing them myself. But then things changed as the years went by, and I was able to do a little singing. And so I, you know, would have through the years been making very small deposits in what was a vast and, you know, expansive, you know, dream and vision to be someone great someday. And I am so thankful that I have been given the chance through poetry, you know, through mental health advocacy, you know, through songwriting, and also through the ability to sing, to, you know, explore and to display the gifts that God has given me to bless my world.
Amen.
So in a nutshell, yes, in a nutshell,
go ahead.
That is me.
No, okay.
In a nutshell, that is me.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. And this is like, it is so much. But when I listen to you, and I also, in everything, where even when there are obstacles, you say, I'm thankful. You look for the next solution, and you don't dwell on the negatives. You look for the solution, and then at the end of each, almost like a song, at the end of each stanza, you say, I'm thankful. For the outcome, you say, I'm thankful. No, that kind of mindset and that kind of how you posture yourself, it is great. And with all of what went on, you know, someone like you, someone with that kind of perception and that kind of how do I say now, just your whole makeup of who you are destined to win, you know, even against all odds. Because at one point you say you've lost your voice, but here you kept on and you kept. I wonder, you are the epitome of perseverance, you know, perseverance. Because with all this brother, he perseveres. Now, Mr. Sean C. Harrison, he is the author of 12 publications, y'all. 12 in my non-Southern voice, y'all. Yeah, you heard me? 12 publications. This brother is a musician. He is a singer. And he said through it all, I don't mean to repeat what he said, but he, after leaving, when he enrolled in the school, he went back and taught himself the rudiments of the keyboard and all of that. This gentleman, he epitomizes perseverance. If you don't mind, and you do not have to, but because I hear you stress on it so much, the mental illness, and I'm going to play a very, very special piece for you from a young lady. Her name is Anaya Smith. I really want to play that for you, you know, to as another way of encouragement. But if you don't want, if you do not want to talk about it, do not talk about it. If it brings back too many painful memories and you're not there yet, don't talk about it. But out of curiosity, I just wanted to know the mental illness. Did it come by, even if you don't give us the details, did it come by stress? Did it come by struggles? Did it come by something that you don't know? You just don't know how it happened? How did it happen?
Okay, well, you know, there were many cofactors, there were many variables that contributed to my ultimate breakdown and the diagnosis, you know, at length, you know, of paranoid schizophrenia. Oh. Firstly, to mention is that there was a strong, and still is a strong, family history of mental illness on the paternal side of my family. And I want to stress this, that, you know, that was one of the major contributing factors that determined whether or not I would have come down with this diagnosis and with this very telling and debilitating, illness. So I'm not afraid to talk about it. I've spoken at length in my social media postings as well as in other interviews. And, I'm very comfortable sharing because I see myself now as a conduit. I see myself now as someone who can greatly help to shed light on the phenomenon that is mental illness. I had an experiential aspect to the whole thing, having gone through. So first, after the family history, there was trauma. There was trauma. There was family. There was also family trauma because the once beautiful family unit that I knew and that I spent many wonderful years with growing up had spiraled into infidelity as well as dysfunction. And because of this, marital strife as well, there was terrible ridicule and, deprecating, name calling, from siblings and, even the wider community because I was a soft child. I was a soft boy child. And on the more artistic side, you don't seem to get the kind of respect or, the kind of regard that you would deserve having distinguished yourself even as I had among certain circles in the Jamaican society, simply because I was a soft child. And so I would find myself having been the subject, as I said, of much ridicule starting in my family.
Wow.
And, also, physical abuse, to an extent, where, my brother started, fit, seeing that I was not, as tough as the other boys, to regularly mount assaults upon me, punching me, as we say, kick my foot off the ground in an effort to make me the hardy little brother that they wanted, the hardy, rude little brother that they wanted. But you see, the thing is that when people do not know, especially even parents, the differences in their children, and, do not look out, as they never did much back in the day, for signs of emotional damage and psychological damage. Sometimes people go on, and often end up, breaking down as I did. And then, when you start to speak of things that, would have impacted, your breakdown and your spiral into the world of mental illness, when you start to speak of the things that happened, everybody is surprised and everybody's asking, where did this come from? So secondly, there was trauma. And also, one of the major sources of trauma came from the death of my brother, as I mentioned before, Dexter Orlando Harrison, when I was age 14. And he was actually buried on my birthday. And so that brother was probably I wouldn't say probably, he was my very best sibling. In his own rough and tumble way, he was a very kind person who I shared many fond memories with, sitting on the rooftop, blowing bubbles, from papaya stalks, as well as making planes, paper planes and kites, him buying me little toys, taking me from St. Thomas to the video game arcade, on Premier Plaza in Kingston, and in Halfway Tree, taking me to the beach, taking me to the river to catch fish with him. He was always cooking. He was always making his own wine. He was always, doing things like farming, farming up the backyard, planting, many stalks of corn, and, I just had a wonderful time with that brother. So when I lost him, it was like I lost a half of my heart. And so that impacted me very greatly also. So there was also for me a lifelong struggle that still factors in to this very moment. It's a very personal struggle that I had since infancy, And because there was no one around who I could entrust, this struggle, to open up about this struggle, I carried the weight of this burden for many years.
Wow.
And, it would have impacted me constantly, and I was always, deemed a very moody child, as my sister Sandy would often call me Father Time, and even a teacher at the Mark Bay High School, Mrs. Wilson, had identified that I was a moody child. But because I knew I had this unresolved issue, psychological and emotional issue, as well as, in other respects, because I knew I had no one to turn to and couldn't, find an outlet for dealing with it. I carried it for many years as a burden. And then, there was also the presence of the demonic. And because of this lifelong struggle that I had, I tried to find solace, in going to a charismatic healing crusade. As I said, when I was at age 19, working at NCB. And when I went to this charismatic healing crusade, in my mind, I was saying, well, this was my last resort, because the psychology and the psychiatry book says there's nothing you can do about this, because I used to hide and read all those books about the situation that I faced, constantly in the library, using the encyclopedias at home and everything. We didn't have the internet at that time.
Yes.
And, so I read extensively and I couldn't find a way out. So I went to this charismatic healing crusade, at which, by the way, Pastor David Grant was present and saw what was happening to me. After a number of nights having been in attendance, I ended up coming under the influence of spiritual phenomena.
Wow.
And supernatural phenomena, where demons actually came against me. And because of the fact that I was working a stressful job, I was in the window where, schizophrenia, in terms of age, where schizophrenia would ideally, affect, a male, at age 19, as I said, I was in the window. And, it was like the healing crusade that I went to, where I encountered demonic phenomena, was the straw that broke the camel's back. And so I ended up after a number of nights attending, writhing on the ground, foaming, screaming, rolling, everything. And all that, anybody there could have tried to do and everything was in vain. And I ended up now, after, having been in that very stressful banking job, going home late hours, finishing work late, going to that crusade, not eating, hardly sleeping. It's like, everything just conspired. And it was there that I had my first breakdown. And, I remember I was told by a friend and a brother of his and mine also, Mr. Dianna Nicholas, to stay home from work the very last time I would have attended work. He told me to stay home and that he and his pastor were going to come and, pray for me. And, I did stay home. And when the demonic forces got full sway, I ended up coming under full influence of the demonic. And I trashed to my apartment, stripped myself naked, ended up having had to be strong-armed by 7 men, tied and handcuffed, feet tied with a rope and my hands handcuffed, stuffed in a police car, whisked away to Ward 21 of the University Hospital of the West Indies, and that began my spiral down the very dark road of mental illness.
Wow. Mr. Harrison, this is, you know how they say a pause for the cause? It kind of threw me for a loop a little bit,
Okay.
because I didn't know it was this extensive. And but here you are again. I keep referring, and by the way, Pastor David Grant, he said he's listening. I got the message from him. He said he's listening. So shout out to you again, Pastor Grant. Mr. Harrison, for everything that you have been through, and you are still, to me, I see that you were destined for greatness. You were destined to become what God had intended you to be, in spite of the setback. And there is still that winner quality that is in you that will not let go, that will not let you go. It's like, right.
Yes.
So first of all, I want to say that I appreciate you so much for being here. I want to say for your openness, I do thank you. This will be a blessing to so many people. I also want to say that, for whatever it is worth, I am sorry for everything that you have been through. And I do hope that at some point, miracle, favor, God's favor, miracle from somewhere will find you right where you are, to the point where you no longer need the medication, and you can function in your full authentic self without the medication. But I do thank you for sharing. One of the things I heard you saying that you carry a childhood trauma, of course, because the mental illness was in your family, and then growing up maybe at a certain age, then of course, based on how the gene pool goes, then if it misses one, then it catches the other one, and if it missed two, then it catches three. And it is unfortunate that, that it landed on you. Well, it shouldn't have landed on anyone. And then you, the loss of your brother at the same time, right? But so I don't want to go back into asking further things now, because now we are forward. We are facing forward now. And
yes,
I hope people are listening. I hope you are listening. I always come on this program and I always talk about men, women too, but I always stress men, do not follow society. Do not follow this stupid system that says men are not supposed to express their feelings or express themselves. Do not follow it to say you're not supposed to cry. I'm not, say you're not a crybaby, but that's why men carry a lot of pent-up feelings, but sometimes it exhibits in fighting and, the smoking and aggression or so, because society tell them a different way. But God made you with your emotions, made you with your tears, made you with your tear duct, made you with your tear glands for a reason, to relieve stress. You understand? So I hope that people are listening, and parents especially. I hope that you are listening and understanding that when you don't give a child an outlet to speak, these are some of the things that can happen. Because even if per the gene pool, it was supposed to have landed on you, but maybe if your parents had given you that outlet, maybe if you were able to talk, you would have been able to say, this is how I feel, this is what's going on, and then maybe it wouldn't take root. You understand what I mean?
Yes, indeed, yes.
I don't want to be on the sorry horse, riding the sorry horse, but I'm thankful for your success, and I call it that. I'm thankful for the resolutions. I'm thankful for the solutions, that you come up with, and I'm thankful for even for those who stood by you. And I believe that, that if you keep pushing the way you are pushing, because I look at your pictures and I'm like, but you have a big voice, you have like a mature voice, but you look way younger than you sound,
Okay.
Way younger than you sound. So that's a blessing.
I have my mother to thank for the youthful, look, and I have my father to thank for the big voice. my father has a very deep vocal intonation, as well as my brother Dave, and and my mother. I must say, she had a big voice herself, a wonderful soprano, a wonderful Brown mezzo-soprano singer, who would fill the home with the strains of her beautiful voice, especially on Sunday mornings singing the classics. I just wanted to add that,
Of course.
I had fun recollections. I have many fun recollections of being in my family, even though there were certain realities that were not so pleasant, But
Yes.
as you say, I really want to endorse what you say, because for me personally, having been able to speak and sound off on persons like Pastor David Grant, as well as, Mrs. Dorrit Folks, as well as, other persons outside of the parish on the phone, Mr. Dalton Spence at times, who is a comedian. When I think about so many persons who avail themselves for me to just pour out what was, being pent up inside of me, and at one point in time when that wasn't enough, I had to seek nearly 7 years of private psychiatric therapy and counseling and cognitive behavioral therapy. And I must say, some people will see, my responses to life as me being a weak person and, not being manly enough. As a matter of fact, the young man that I reared from infancy, who is my brother's child, he considers me, because of my, disposition, my own psychological and emotional disposition. He calls me a gal, and he calls me, say me a mama man.
My God.
And, and all of those things and whatever, because I am a very emotionally expressive and communicative person, especially with the vehicle of my creativity.
Yes.
So the truth is that, as I still carry the burden of mental illness, the fact that I'm able to speak, and the fact that I'm able to vent, the fact that I'm able to, enunciate and voice my cares, my deepest fears and everything, I think that is what has brought me thus far.
Amen.
Even inside of one point in time when I made a suicide attempt, and I tell you, suicidal ideation, as they call it in psychiatry and psychology, is something that is a constant as it concerns the experience of the mental illness sufferer, especially the schizophrenic. And I contemplated suicide constantly throughout my ordeal, psychological ordeal and other stresses and adversities, and I remember when it came to a head, when a number of things fell down on me between the years 2013 and 2018, and I attempted suicide. I swallowed 183 pills in 1 6-hour period. But Jehovah be praised.
Whoa.
Elohim be praised. Yahweh be praised.
Wow.
I did not die, but I lived to declare the works of the Lord.
My.
And even as that remained one of my keynote scriptures, I shall not die, but live and declare the works
Hallelujah.
of the Lord. And when I think of another of my keynote scriptures that says, I had fainted unless I had believed to see the goodness of the Lord in the land of the living. Let me tell you, I was and still am a very greatly poured into person. And that is why when I think of all the persons, those were just a few of the names that I would have mentioned. But I tell you, when I think of all the persons who took the time, even when I was walking the streets naked between 2013 and 2018, to reclothe me, to rescue me, when I walked over 64 miles to and from St. Thomas, Jamaica, to Kingston, to and from, and naked, oftentimes in dangerous places, and so many persons would have come to my rescue, former co-workers, friends, well-wishers, persons, in the parish of St. Thomas. It was such a spectacle. And when I went through that final, crucible, where, my faith was very severely tested between 2013 and 2018. Let me tell you something. It was the love and the forbearance and the grace of God and the people around me that helped to bring me back to sanity. When I had to be admitted to the Bellevue Hospital nearly a total of 6 times, rescued oftentimes, walking on the streets, strong-armed, and brought into the hospital, injected for sedation and everything, and brought into the hospital to recuperate. I'm telling you, one of the reasons I'm so grateful is because I know that whatever, I am today, I am not the one who is solely and totally responsible. My life is a group effort, a community effort that I am thankful today that is bearing fruit, bearing good fruit. And for all the persons who stood by me, I am glad that I am able now to stand today, basically on my own at this point, but stronger and wiser and more equipped for the race of life. God bless them all. St. Thomas, Jamaica, as well as other persons, even as I said, like Pastor David Grant. I remember nights when I was counseling with Pastor David Grant, and Pastor David Grant would have been so tired that sometimes he fell asleep. I'm telling you about that gentleman. Whenever I called, he never, if he could have done better, he always had time for me. And he always had space to hear me out. Wow. And even though he knew that my problem was in large part a demonic phenomenon, he applied the important elements of counseling and, hearing me out, prayer, and just being there as a listening ear. So I'm telling you, men, you are not weak to say that I cannot manage. I need help. When we hear of the stories of the men who chop up their wife, chop up their pitney, or hang themselves, or whatever it is, we find that oftentimes in those scenarios, these men did not get the space to vent.
Yes.
These men did not get the space to air their grouses, to air their deepest insecurities. And I'm telling you, the Jamaican society, let me tell you, puts a whole lot of pressure on our men to be oftentimes what we cannot be, especially based on how the society is set up, being a matriarchal society, where the men are not taught to be emotionally responsive as well as emotionally and otherwise responsible.
Yes. All right, no.
To stick with their families and, to be the kinds of persons who stand, for themselves and stand for others, for others' good and others' welfare. Oftentimes you find that men like us in this society are the exception rather than the rule. Men like us who are emotionally responsive and responsible. And so I want to speak to our men. You are not weak to seek counseling. You are not weak to open up. You are not weak to say, I need a breather.
Yes. Yes.
Everybody, Elijah in the Bible became disillusioned.
Yes.
And he despaired to the point where he wanted God to take his life.
Yes.
David, who is one of my very favorite biblical characters, David went to the depth of darkness and emotional turmoil that was so morbid. He would have been diagnosed as being clinically depressed or bipolar.
My.
He encountered so much stress, and even inside of the fact that the Lord said this was going to happen, and this was going to happen as a result of your choices, he still cried out to the Lord for mercy.
Amen.
And so, we find in David, and other strong, biblical characters, the fact that we as men can become very frail, very vulnerable, and in need of reparative reparative efforts to bring us back from the brink.
Yes. Our very special guest this evening is Sean C. Harrison. He is an author, 12 publications under his belt. He is a singer. He is a musician, but he is so much more than that. Just listening to the gentleman, he is a counselor in his own right. This man has, he has earned several awards just by pushing back and coming back. But in retrospect, Pastor, when I was talking about Jamaican men need to cry, I'm going to come right back to what I was saying to you there, Mr. Harrison. Pastor Grant says, nothing bring relief like a good old-fashioned Jamaican ball. Ball mean, for those who are listening, crying. This is just how we talk in Jamaica. We say bawling, mean just holla, you're crying. There's nothing brings relief like a good old-fashioned bawling for true. Tavia Foster, she sends her hugs to you. She says you are an inspiration and thanks for trusting the space and sharing. Many are grappling and not as brave as you. She also said, this is like a short mini poem. She's also an author of her first book called Unscar Me, and it says the piece that she writes for you says, someone pushed, someone pulled, someone gave, good or bad advised, held your hand, prayed for you, stood up for you, shared food, space, or thoughts with you, called you friend, encouraged, show love, and motivated you. Someone somewhere at some point sacrificed for you, saved you from, so you could become. And then she says, amen. Grateful.
Amen to that.
Grateful.
Yes.
Mr. Harrison, you have been to the dark side, the darker side. You have been to the dark side of life. And you said in 2013 to 2018, you have walked over 64 miles out of your mind, naked. But it was the hands of people. It was the feet. It was the mind. It was people who came together to help to make you whole again. And I cannot imagine what that must have been for you. But I am thankful that you are in the space and that you are able to be a sound wave just going out there and a light in the dark, especially to me. That even that little boy that you raised and he called you a gal or a sissy or whatever. I'm sorry about that too. I'm sorry for that, because the truth is, men, I'm saying to you, not all men, just because a man have muscles, it doesn't mean that him tough like an old truck. Some men do not exhibit emotions like that. But then when you see them in their quiet space, when they go to take their shower or go to lay down, you don't see the tears that roll down their cheeks. And some men, they prefer to not to let that, because things can get you, things can upset you. Right? But some men prefer to, they smoke it out, they go to beat their wife, they have one, as they say in Jamaica, one bag of gal. They do all kinds of things as if that can fill the void. Sometimes our men are trying to fill the void. Like I was talking to Imara, Imara. And I was saying, Imara, we need to, this is so timely. I was telling him that we are going to have, I don't know the name of it yet, but we need to have something set up in Jamaica where we go to the schools and to the young men out there, even the older ones too, and give them that space, give them that outlet. Let them just, in private spaces, if they want to cry. If you want to talk about things, because a lot of these young men are growing into their adulthood with the burden and the trauma of childhood. And so you find it begin to spill out in the way in their womanizing way, in their beatings, and in the way how they even destroy themselves with drugs. A lot of it is unspoken
pain,
Yes.
and unresolved trauma.
Yes, indeed.
You are such a light. You are such a light. But I'm thankful with you that with all the things that you have been through, you are coming out, and you came out on the good side,
Oh, yes.
on the strong
Oh,
side.
yes. Yes, thankfully.
Excuse
Yes.
me. I'm going to play a song from you. And I know you said that the medication took away your voice to a point. But this is the song I want to play from Mr. Sean Harrison. It says, "Don't throw me away." Stand by.
Crying did I come into a world that was broken, hopelessly lost in sin, woefully undone, wretched and naked. Oh, the shame of my skin. Then you came searching after me. Lord, you found me in deepest need. And I don't know what you saw in me, so unworthy. You cleansed my sin. You didn't leave me forsaken. You didn't throw me away. And I'm grateful, Lord, I'm grateful for your love today. Oh, it's more than my heart can say. How grateful, oh, so grateful. You didn't throw my life away. Worthy now I stand in the midst of your glory, only through Christ's righteousness. Worthy is the Lamb, only you could have saved me. Lord, I praise your holiness, wondrous grace, wondrous love for me. Love that changed my heart and set me free. Of my praise, of my song to thee. You are worthy, you died for me. Then you rose to live in me. You didn't throw me away. You didn't throw me away. For your love today. It's more than my heart can say. Oh, so grateful. Grateful you did. Na, 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 na. Yes, I'm grateful. Lord, I'm grateful.
And that's the voice there of Mr. Sean C. Harrison. The brother sings, "Don't throw me away." And after all that he's been through, after all, there's not a complaining song here or a complaining poem. It's always, at that point of gratefulness. He postures himself to be grateful. And, that says so much. Mr. Harrison, it's a very interesting moment. It's a delicate moment for me. Just this, to be in the space with you, because I understand that you are a lion, and at the same time, you are very gentle on the inside. So with all of that, that's why I say it's a delicate space. I want to ask you, having been through all the things that you've gone through, yeah? What does a day, walk me through what it is when you wake up in a morning, any given morning. How do you start your day?
Well, the very first thing I try to do each morning, sometimes it does escape me a bit, is to give thanks to the Lord for opening my eyes to see another day. To thank Him for His grace and mercy, and just bless Him as He opens my eyes. Truth is, I do not go the conventional route of some Christians, which may be at this point to my very own detriment, I must say. But I make sure that I give thanks as I rise up in the morning.
Yes.
And then even as I open my eyes and I lie in bed, and if it actually is in my power, I try to think, what do I have to do? How can I bless somebody today? And I may not get the chance to do it every day, but I am usually absorbed oftentimes in trying to brainstorm ways that I can show, as you said, gratitude, not only to God, but to those who have been there for me. So oftentimes, I will, take little tokens to persons I know in and around the parish of St. Thomas, go to the schools, to do presentations, buy fruits and give the children fruits and speak to the children at the schools, as well as just recently on Monday, I went to the St. Thomas Infirmary and I donated a few things out of my pocket that I bought in Morant Bay.
Wow.
And so I try to see how I can be a blessing to those around me. And, when I think also of how sometimes I am led, I allow myself to be led by the Spirit of God oftentimes and more often than not. And sometimes, the work for the day is just to call up some people and to encourage them, or to send out inspirational and motivational written messages in my WhatsApp to my contacts, or send out an inspirational, motivational message over Facebook, social media. My social media work is very extensive, and I'm the one who manages all my social media handles and all of that. So my day, is usually taken up trying to see how I can benefit the world that I am in, my world and my space. And so sometimes it happens, that when I call up somebody and I say, I just felt led to pray for you. And when I do, they say, they really needed that, or they were going through that, or, if I ended up supplying a need out of the little that I have or that I get through the kindness of others who pour into my bosom. You will hear, like even a friend, a young friend that I have, anytime I bless him with something, he says, God, I go bless you, God, I go bless you because, says just think, and I bust my brain, when me I go get this, for do that.
Oh, God.
And you just call and you just tell me, say whatever, something's there for me right on time.
Wow.
So the truth is that I spent many years in theory. I spent many years in the theoretical aspect of my Christianity. And I read the Word constantly, was a diligent student of the Word throughout many years. And, I would have, done my extensive praying, intercessory praying and all of that in my closet and everything, but the Lord has really, had me to venture out into another dispensation where what it is that I have imbibed through the word and through the leading, and the outpouring of the Spirit into me, I now pour out into my world.
Amen.
So, that is really typically my day when I start until it ends.
Okay, that's beautiful. And you are a giver, and that's why I say, no matter what you've been through,
Yes.
your end, whether it's the end of the day, end of the week, end of the month, or end of a situation, you're always going to come out on top, because you were destined to win. You were not, as Gombe Culture have a song, you weren't built to break.
Yes.
And I think that, that also mirrors you. When you're faced with issues now, like things that, do not sit well with you, how do you express yourself so that you do not fall back into any kind of situations? How do you help yourself?
Well, as I mentioned before, one of my very, very key activities, is venting, is sounding off on, persons around me whenever there are things, and consulting with persons around me who are responsible, intelligent people who can say, Sean, I think such and such, and you can do such and such, even though in large part as an adult, I'm now 48 years old, in large part, I am responsible for myself and have been so from a very young age. In a sense, parents were around, but I always had to do certain things on my own because the parental involvement was not as great as it should have been in my circumstances, even though the parents were present, although my father had emigrated when I was 10 years old. And, it was my mother that I actually spent most of my life with here in Red Hill Spring. But the truth is that, for me, communication is key to my survival. And I even think of Miss Annette Edmond, who is my smaller nephew's mother, my younger nephew's mother, who oftentimes I can call her. Something is happening in the home as it concerns conflict with my older nephew whom I reared, and when words are spoken and disrespect is meted out and all of that and things don't go right, I can call, a few persons and say, that this happened, and speak and hear,
yes,
and, and ventilate, my feelings.
Right.
So the truth is that, I don't give myself room to fall back into certain modes of thinking, modes of operating, as I did when I didn't understand so much about mental illness and so much about life, and life itself has taught me progressively, incrementally, to handle things on a more mature plane and on such a more mature plane, that things that used to wound me, words spoken even by the young man I reared, oftentimes are piercing and very disrespectful, that these things don't spiral me, totally into a mindset where I am, really reeling, to the point where I'm thrown off course. And of course, I must say that, medication usage for me is a staple in my circumstances, and should be the staple for many mentally ill and, otherwise psychologically compromised persons. And so I do not neglect to deal with and address that area of my reality where I get off my medication and then things start to spiral. I try to stay, and keep up on and with my regimen, so I take a monthly shot at the Princess Margaret Hospital, as well as tablets. I take tablets nightly, every night, and I make sure I do that because oftentimes for the mentally ill person, when that element is not present, there is not much more that anybody around or the person can do to remain stable.
Wow.
Oftentimes, by the time you become mentally ill, you would have been so compromised, in your psyche that it would necessitate the assistance of, your circumstances by medicinal interventions. And so one of the important things that I need to tell people is that I try to stick with my regime and medication regime or regimen. And that is one of the main things that helps to keep me on an even keel and in such a way that I'm able to handle life situations and life's problems in a way that is functional and in a way that is beneficial to me and that does not impact those around me negatively, via, breakdowns and psychotic phases and all of those things that can happen, that can throw not only the sufferer, but the sufferer's loved ones and friends and well-wishers into turmoil, chaos, and confusion.
Yes, sir.
So, and as I said, when there was a time in my life where I needed to speak to some things, I needed to talk about some things, I made the effort and I got myself into, the hands of a psychiatrist, a counselor, where I could speak at length and, and in confidence about certain things. So, of course, for some persons, I must say, who are mentally ill, you need to be constantly under the guidance and the watch keep of a counselor or, or a psychiatrist or a psychologist or somebody who has some level of authority and expertise in that field where you can be helped, as it concerns, getting solutions, life solutions, solutions to life's problems, and you can get wisdom and another level of insight into, your situation to such a point that you have now an informed view of your circumstances that does help you to cope better.
Yes. Oh, well said. Well said.
Thank you.
I know we came, and I know we came to talk about your book and your music and all of those good things, but you know what's going to happen? We're going to have you. We're not wrapping up just yet, but I know that we're going to have you back another time because we'll do as much as we can. But because this is so extensive and this has taken a different route. We're actually going the destination, but we're taking a different route, but I think it's for the good. I think it's for the better, because there are people whom I believe who that are just soaking this up and really, really want to hear. Let me ask you something. Do you understand your triggers?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
To an extent. I would have been credited by persons who would have counseled with me and would have been treating me with something that is not the preserve of all mentally ill persons, which is insight. Many persons do not even know what they would have done, when they actually enter the psychotic phase, the things that they would have done, people would have had to tell them. But for me, having been blessed and cursed with a photographic memory, I would oftentimes remember things that happened before. And so when I say, my triggers, I know for sure that stress, undue stress, is one of the main things that works against me as a mentally ill person.
Okay, that's beautiful. I want to play this poem called Heart of Flame by Mr. Sean C. Harrison. Stand by.
Heart of Flame, written by Sean C. Harrison. Burn for love thy soul hast felt. For thou hast tasted of his wealth, thou hast known its warming rays, thou hast seen it in thy days. Burn, for thou hast known such pain, and thou wast soothed and healed again. Tenderly were thy wounds bound, and in God's arms thy balm wast found. Burn, for when thy tears were dried, one fine day you found them dried, as woe was interposed with mirth, and thou didst learn at last thy worth. Burn, for thy life hast been spared, and those whom thou hast greatly feared have lowly bowed to kiss thy feet. Thy foes were made to taste defeat. Burn, for thou hast been redeemed, for on thy brow salvation beamed. For thou hast been plucked from the fire, thou hast been raised from the mire. Burn, for thou wast taught his truth, and ever since the day of thy youth, his word was constantly thy guide, and by it thou wast edified. Burn, for thy eternal home awaits when life on earth is done. The sum of all thy longings is another world of matchless bliss. Burn within with fervent zeal. Burn, thy reservations yield for all these things that thou didst learn. Heart, for thy Lord ever burn.
Yes, of course, that's the beautiful, beautiful poem written by Mr. Sean C. Harrison. The poem is called Heart of Flame. As soon as I heard this poem, I said, I have to play this one. I really, really like it. You know, I liked it, and I like the way how he expresses himself in it. The poem is called Heart of Flame. Now, Mr. Harrison, I know you mentioned a little bit about when you went to, is it Jamaica School of Music?
Yes, I did.
Right. Tell us about the writing. How did you at 48 years old, you have written 12 books, you've had them published. Tell us how that writing came about, and you know, the publications, even at the very first time you wrote a book. What was the name of the book, and what led you to writing?
Okay. Well, you know, I must go back from the formative years where in my schooling, you know, sometimes as a child, you know, you find that you have subjects that you love more than others and that you excel at.
Right.
Well, the word-based subjects for me from the get-go were my better subject areas. So English literature, English language. Well, in primary school, it would have been English language, but I cultivate a love too for reading from a very, very early point in my experience. And so I would have remembered that I was not taught to read per se, even as a toddler. I remember in the 1970s when I was born, 1977, you know, when I was born onwards, I remember there was Sesame Street that my father credited for teaching my sister and I, or helping my sister and I learn how to read. And so from a very early age, from as far back as 3 years old, I believe, I was forming words. I was making syllabic sounds, and I was putting words together, breaking words in syllables, and learning words and all of those things. So the truth is that, you know, I must credit my mother and my father, Mrs. Patricia Harrison and Mr. Lascelles Harrison Sr., for having, you know, facilitated our educational, prowess by supplying us with learning instruments and learning materials that would have figured greatly in sharpening our intellect as children in the home. So I remember growing up having 2 full volumes of encyclopedias in my home. My mother and my father, I don't remember who bought it, but between them, they would have made sure that we had those two full volume encyclopedias. One, an adult, that was a Grolier International.
I remember that one. I had that. I had that too. I remember Grolier.
Yes, and there was also a children's encyclopedia,
My
full
gosh.
volume of children's encyclopedias. And also we were given every tool that we needed to excel, because my mother especially was an educator, you see, a primary level educator. And so she placed a great emphasis on our educational and learning process. And so she made sure especially that all the literature books, all textbooks, everything was bought and that we were fully supplied. And so from that time, I started developing excellent linguistic skills, and then I would start now writing songs at age 14. I wrote my first song at age 14 entitled "A Song I Used to Sing." And, from that time onwards, for many years, I wrote many wonderful songs. And of course, that process would have come about through my early musical initiation and journey, because my father too, as I said, he was a designated pianist and organist in the Adventist Church, Mount Bay Seventh Day. And my father, would also have been an avid listener of classical music. And so you can imagine how great a role music had to play in my intellectual, psychological, and emotional development and my, my thriving. And so, I did not have the need for anyone to teach me how to write songs. I just automatically, after having cultivated a wide listenership of music, I would have started writing those. But then, many years into the illness, or a number of years into the illness now, when I was not able to sing anymore, and my voice had deteriorated so badly that I was not able to write songs anymore either. Just to piece them on my dictaphone and my little voice recorder was impossible to, because my voice was so hoarse and so badly far gone, that I started exploring other areas of writing. And poetry actually came next. And so when I started exploring poetry, I was self-taught again. I did not have anybody around, and I would start, out with just fixed form poetry, alternate rhyming schemes, as well as rhyming couplets, and, writing in the idiom of the Old English, the these and the thous and the thy, the thys and all of that. And then, I started getting little tips here and there from influences that, were, instrumental in my continuing my journey as a poet. And so I started branching out into other, types of, poetry, free verse, as well as, writing dialect or Jamaican poems in the Jamaican language or Twi. And, I would have continued to do so until I amassed quite a great number of poetic works too, as I did musical works. And then, as I wrote poetry, I started experimenting with writing proverbs and, also writing Christian discourses. So I must stress that all those writings that I did over the years, that I lost some of when I became ill between 2013 and 2018, would have been the bedrock and the basis upon which I would have ended up compiling books. So my books are not really books with complex plots, like fiction, and, with climaxes and, developing characters and stuff. No, most of my work is poetry. and most of my writings and my publications are compilations. So when you talk about the first book that I put together, that first compilation of poetry that I published on the Amazon platform, because all my books so far are published on the Amazon KDP, Kindle Direct Publishing platform.
Okay.
My first collection of poetry, A Deeper Joy, Keeping Hope Alive in a Fallen World, was compiled out of writings that I had amassed. And so when I did that, when I put the manuscript together, I would have asked, a former teacher of mine and a former church brother of mine, Dr. Harold McDermott, who I believe still to this day lectures at the University of Technology.
Wow.
He actually looked over, but he had kind of lost interest. But then, a second cousin of mine, Mr. Kenneth, Dr. Kenneth Hall, who is a bariatric surgeon, he came and he expressed an interest in getting my work out there. And, he would have taken my manuscript and, he would have had a professional editor and proofreader, go over it and fine-tune and everything. And, eventually when I was led to the Kindle Direct Publishing platform, that was where, I, not having had a computer at the time, I used to walk over 1 mile to the library for many days to use the library's internet service to get, my books on the Kindle Direct, publishing platform. At the time when I was putting that first compilation together, I was, I had left my job. I had no way, to finance, anything I was doing, but through asking, even as I do now, I still do ask for donations and contributions, and that's mainly how I get by and do what I do. And so I would have oftentimes been walking in the sun to Moran Bay. Oftentimes the internet was so slow at the library that many times during the upload of my manuscript and updating everything, the whole thing would crash and everything, until finally, after a series of very hard, situations where, I had to be using other facilities, I would have ended up getting, my own little computer. And so one thing would have led to another, and it would have eventually blossomed into 12 publications. So as I told you off the air, I have 9 published poetic compilations and works, and I have 3 works of prose, meaning that which is not poetry, but they were just compilations.
Yes.
So, as I said to you, 9 books of poetry and 1 book that is called The Word of My Testimony, that speaks to, my experiences as a child of God and how God would have worked in my life, how He would have used others to work in my life, and how He would have worked in the lives of others. Book of compilations of different testimonies, as well as a book, that is a small devotional called Sketches of Sunrise. That's a compilation of a lot of the writings that I would have done on Facebook that would have been like Christian and inspirational, motivational discourses. Then there's the last work of prose would be Everybody Has a Funny Bone, which is again another compilation of factual, jokes and happenings, real life happenings in my home, my community, in my church, in my school, otherwise. And so the process, was for me not a difficult one. I only had to persevere. I only had to decide that I was going to put my shoulder to the wheel and stick to it. And now I can tell you, I have so much of a vast cache of creative works and writings that I haven't even begun to tap into.
Wow.
How many I can actually, turn into books that people can interact with and read, because I keep on writing constantly, maybe not as profusely as I did before, because sometimes other things take precedence, like when I, record music. But even as it concerns the musical side of my journey, it was only in 2013 when I changed my medication and my life began a downward spiral, that I was able in November of that year, I believe, to do my very first individual recordings of 7 songs that I put together in an EP that I called Seventh Heaven. And I went to the studio, Blue Note Studios in St. Thomas, licensed St. Thomas, with Mr. Randy Van Patrick, who is a former batchmate of mine at the Edna Manley College. You know, he was the one who recorded me, and I was able to do those first 7 songs in studio. And then all that you would have heard and what you would have played, you know, in terms of Didn't Throw Me Away and other songs on that particular album would have been done through a process. Now, I'm on medications and my voice is still compromised, but then there are times when there will be a little opening and a little clearing where I would go into the studio and I would do a little recording at a time, record the song, record the backup vocals. I would have done the backup vocals, you know, maybe reworked certain songs because, you know, they didn't sound vocally very convincing to me, and just doing it a little at a time and incrementally and step by step. So I am not somebody who has made, you know, maybe wide leaps and bounds in terms of my creative process and journey, but the constant stick-to-itivity that I employ, I do attribute that to the fact that I am at the place where I can say I have some musical works out and I have some written works out. So the process was a long and laborious one, drawn out over a number of years. And when social media presented an avenue for me to hear these works now and, you know, the internet and everything, you know, then through the coaxing of friends and well-wishers, I went full speed ahead into disseminating a lot of what I have written throughout the world, throughout the digital space and otherwise. So it has been quite a journey with a number of twists and turns.
Wow. But you always come out on top, though. That's what I love. That's what I love about you. What is your most favorite poem that you have written, that you can, whether from the beginning of your writing journey or the last book that you wrote? What is your most favorite poem?
You know, I always hope that I never get asked that question. whether it is from my musical works or my poetic works or otherwise, because the truth is that everything carries its own special quality and has its own special weight. Of course, there are some that I read over. There are some songs that I listen over and I say, my goodness, what was I thinking when I wrote these songs? These are masterpieces. Wow. But still, you know, everything has a quality to it that, you know, makes it special, as I said, in its very own way. But one of the standouts that I can think of, though, is this one that encapsulates, you know, in a nutshell, my faith and the reason for my faith in God and in the merits of Jesus Christ, that is entitled Sovereign Lord God Almighty.
All right.
That poem actually speaks, and that poem is one of the sample poems that I gave in my bio. And that
can you recite it or a part of it?
To the basis of my, yes, I can.
Okay, go ahead.
I can. Let me just pull it up on my tablet.
Okay.
I chose some other poems, and I didn't intend to read that one, but seeing that you asked for it, no problem.
All right.
I'm just pulling it up. Just give me 1 second.
No worries at all. So if you're just joining us, it is now 7:44 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This is the 11th day of the 6th month at 2025. My name is Dianna Wright. Our very special guest is Mr. Sean C. Harrison, an author, a singer, a musician, a mental health survivor. Yes, a mental health survivor. People, he is now in his own rights a counselor, in his own rights a motivator, and, you know, a very big help to anyone, just about everyone who, if you think that you have faced with the demons of mental health, or if you think that in your situation and your circumstance you do not have enough money, you don't have enough of this, you don't have enough of that, in order to survive and to thrive, then think again. You need to listen to this. This is not just an interview, it's a testimony, and I really do want you to listen to it. When I put it up, we do have an Afjam YouTube page. We just started it, so there's not many subscribers, so I do encourage persons who are listening to, while I'll go back and replay this on the radio, I don't want you to subscribe to the Afjam radio YouTube page so that you can go and listen to this and any and every other interviews that we have done. Are you ready, Mr. Harrison?
I am ready. I'm ready to go.
Okay.
This point, are you really?
Go ahead when you're ready. When you're ready.
Are you here?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes, are you here now?
Yes.
All right. Lord God Almighty was written in 2014.
Okay.
He who rides the train of fire, attended by the laws, who spins the cosmos as sun and tosses the sun effortlessly as an expert child. He looked upon me and smiled. He whose gaze seems to vapor in but a moment, build time, and whose word exceeds and who no blame bears, he bore the blame for me. He whose judgment fixed, reducing kings to beggars, who strikes no deals with men or mighty angels, broken and pardoned for all the sin, he pardoned me. Greater, who mighty though he came to live in me, is the largest deed of all. To make himself so small as to choose his ways to shut a wretched soul. Yet the marked greatness, not that I needs, simple, honored servants, is that same one. See my heart so darkened, and I am in necessity. It's true, but far more to me, to you, so.
Mr. Morrison, sorry, Mr. Harrison, I hate to kind of interrupt, but we're losing the quality of it, and I know that the listeners are hearing it too. I don't know if you could go back to the exact place you were, the exact position you were in when we were talking. Everything was smooth until you started reading the poem, so I don't know what you did differently.
I don't know what I did differently because I'm actually outside in the clear, where I should be getting good signal.
All right, right there sounds better.
I don't know what's happening. Would you like
Start it.
to read it over?
Yes, sir. Please do again.
Okay, no problem. And so it goes. Sovereign Lord God Almighty, written May 11, 2014. He who rides the skies with a train of fire, unfettered by the laws of man, who spins the cosmos on the axis of his unseen hand and tosses the earth round the sun, effortless as an expert wanton child, looked upon me and smiled. He whose gaze consumes to vapor in but a moment, who built time and leaves it broken, whose word exceeds his name when spoken, who no blame bears, he bore the blame for me. He whose judgment fixed, reducing kings to beggars, who strikes no deals with men or mighty angels, brokered divine pardon for all the sin hardened, he pardoned me. And could I ask for one greater, who, mighty though he be, came to live in me? It's the largest deed of all, to make himself so small as to choose his rays to shine from a wretched soul mine. Yet the mark of greatness is not that of knightly deeds, but simple, honored, servile creeds. And his pledge was such that he would save one not worth saving, See my heart, though dark and failing, and ask to dwell there incessantly. This too, but far, far more imperative to me, makes you sovereign Lord God Almighty.
Wow. Yes, of course. Yes, of course. That is the works there of Mr. Sean C. Harrison. That's a beautiful piece. A very, 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 very beautiful piece. I do love it. It's beautiful. Now, it's now 10 minutes to the hour of 8 o'clock. I'm going to ask you to read me 2 other poems. And I do have a poem that I want to play for you as a country. It's not my piece. It's just a piece that I love from another poet. And I want to play it for you. But I'm going to ask you to go ahead and read me the other 2 or 3 poems that you would like your listeners to hear.
No problem. Okay, this poem that I wrote on June 24, 2014 is entitled Fingers on Fire. And this poem actually speaks to my own, experience of, using my fingers to paint, word pictures and to express myself. So this is what it says. Fingers on fire. Who knew 2 digits would in their grasp speak a mind's thoughts so loud that the world mesmerized would find its eyes opened? That 2 digits clasping a pen would signal an empire's end. But that which is rarely esteemed is where danger lurks, when men with averted gazes lavish praises upon grotesque implements of war, their concepts of might misplaced. But fingers, ignited by the dynamo of a sharp brain, hold the power to inflict their deepest pains as they etch upon their pages a man's heart, a nation's struggle, capturing the gamut of feeling with pinpoint facility, revealing the content of man's philosophy, chronicling our journeys through the hills and valleys of time, whether in prose or rhyme. Mightier than swords are fingers shooting words, breathing life and meaning into things that of themselves lack power or voice to give their own accounts. They dance upon and enliven our pages, drench the imagination in color. They are no other than fingers on fire that do but who themselves never burn to cinder.
Wow. That's powerful. That's beautiful.
Thank you.
That is so beautiful, Mr. Harrison. That is so beautiful. I'm going to ask you to tell us where we can get your works. But before that, I want you to read some more. Read us some more. We want to, just feast off of your experience and what you have written. And then we're going to talk a little bit about, where we can get your works. And of course, I'm going to listen to hear what my listeners have to say, and if we do need to bring you back for a second time around, because I do believe you have, for 12 books, you have some extensive work there, But go ahead and just read. This is between the lines, people, and we're doing it differently today. So,
yes.
Go ahead.
All right, so how many more are you going to allow me to read for you? As many as you want, no problem.
We can, okay, so let's do 3 more.
Okay.
All right,
okay.
Not counting that one you just did a while ago, so 3 more.
3 more, okay. All right, very important to our life experiences as people of color is the exploration of our blackness and our exploration of the road that led us here and the road that we need to travel towards ultimate black empowerment, excellence, and liberation.
Yes.
So this poem, One More Step, actually speaks to that. And so as I read it, I pray that we will be inspired, as we hear, to, value our blackness anew and to know that we have so much to accomplish, so much to do, and that God himself wants us to be great, to be excellent, to show white supremacy, that we mean what we say when we say we are going to make that difference and we are going to rise from the ashes of disempowerment.
Amen.
One more step. Written June 14, 2018. Chained to their ways we grope as men whose eyes were put out. The light of the body dimmed by cruel whips cracking, bellowing in our ears a new reality that reluctantly we embrace for having no choice. It was not our world. Those were not our ways. And to know life as is, our true selves half dead, is as hard as remembering those we left behind, as painful and raw as the wounds inflicted by those scourges. And as we live the nightmare of supplantation, the dawn a distant dream, slowly their ways seep into us, the loss of ourselves spawning chaos. And though the voice of those beyond the Atlantic fades, the spirit of Africa burns on.
Wow.
And we remember the distant dawn waits for us, telling us, one more day, one more step, and you'll find your way.
Ah. Wow. And you wrote that in 2018. That was during the point when you were going through the illness.
Well, it might have been at the tail end of it because I was discharged last from the Bellevue Hospital the 31st of January 2018. So I dare say it might very well. I'm sorry. I think I had mentioned the date when it was written. So it would have been in that time when I was just about recuperating.
Wow.
Yes.
Well, all praises. So, that's a beautiful piece, man. That's a beautiful piece. All of your pieces, all of them are beautiful. No pun intended. All your works are. I could sit and I could listen to them. It's a beautiful thing.
Thank you.
Yes. Go ahead.
I'm glad for that. Now I'm going to turn the tides a little bit.
Yes.
And I'm going to do something that is authentically Jamaican.
All right.
A dialect piece or a piece done in the Jamaican language, or patois as some persons call it.
Okay.
And so it is entitled Nobody Like We. And it was written the 22nd of November 2014. So that would have been the period within which I was almost totally disoriented and had many ups and downs. And the truth is that one thing I must say and I must stress, my creativity throughout, even when I was disoriented and I was not well, my creativity and my ability to write never waned.
Amen.
It might have decreased in frequency at some points, but I was always writing.
Yes.
So here we go. Nobody Like We. Jamaican people are something else to run out, though, Sit down, liquor, let me tell you exactly how we go. A funny people bother tell you truth, my friend. This least little thing you do, we have a screw and bend. We find name for others when they depend on bird paper, but if you give it back no ugly one, we want to send you to your maker. And when you talk about facey, and when word come out with mouth, so we's a set of people, if you try to get out. very much creative with anything we find. And we is a bunch with some of the brightest peace of mind. Not tell we can't for child. We have to find a way to beat every system in the world to this very day. We all about the family, and very rare is the time when you see between the units someone draw the line. The treatment must really terrible, but we are defend them to the death. But if our even family, we can't stand not name bad breath. And next, is with community spirit. Don't a madman have in place, or as they call us. Some helpful and amusing. Put a smile upon everyone's face. I know we're not too good. All at church we cuss and fight. But if somebody takes sick, we find care not care all late the night. Especially if the woman pregnant and time come visit in. We are carry you go hospital, not care if we don't hear clean. And the next thing we can take is the frownsy underarm smell. Go wash it good and look green lime. We no afraid to tell. And if we friend go foreign and come back, care how the stated hard. You don't care about nothing for we. Nobody come in our yard. Right and board we are asked, where you are go with your too long on? How you mean you don't have no money? You never fly out with a plan. We don't know what kind of life them go foreign go back. But we are going like say, we send them in at the cold go get big work. Rich culture, diverse and extremely colorful, from Africa, England, just about everywhere, the various elements pull. So next time you see a Jamaican, do not underestimate and take with simple. So, for no Jamaican annobate, we bad, we good, we nice, we cross, we always the first and we must be the last. And in between you must find a one and few. So you know nobody like we, talk the God truth. Does you?
That's beautiful. Oh my gosh. Oh my. You know, I would ask you to repeat that one, but maybe if you repeat it, then of course I want to give the listeners a chance to go back and you know, as them say, pull up that one, the selector, to go back and. But I want. Can you repeat it for me? I love it. It just takes me back to Miss Lou. It just takes me back to a place where whoa. I have in my hand some callaloo, some steamed callaloo and some fried dumpling. And when you said a poem there, oh my gosh, it just brings me right back to Clarendon. So I'm gonna ask you again, sir, you know, to kindly recite that one for us again. Thank you.
Yes. You know, I actually ended up closing it because I didn't think you would have asked me again. But I'm don't worry. It doesn't take long for this to open.
That's fine.
It opens in yes, all right. Nobody like we. Jamaican people are something else to run out, though, you know. Sit down, liquor, let me tell you exactly how we go. For people bad, I tell you truth, my friend. The least thing you're doing, we have a school and then we find name for others when not depend on bird paper, but if you give it back no ugly one, we want to send you to your maker. And when you talk about facey, and when word come away mouth, you know, so we a set of people, you know, if you try get out. Very much creative with anything we find. And we is a bunch with some of the brightest piece of mind. No tell we can't for a child. We have to find a way to beat every system in the world to this very day. We all about with family. And very rare is the time when you see between the units someone draw the line. The treatment must really terrible for we are defended to the death. But if a even family, we can't stand nothing near bad breath. And next is the community spirit. Don't a madman have in place. Some helpful and amusing. Put a smile upon everyone's face. I know we're not too good. All at church we are cuss and fight. But if somebody takes sick, we find care, not care only at the night. Especially if the woman pregnant and time comes to take in. We are carry you go hospital, not care if we don't hear clean. And the next thing we can take is the frownsy underarm smell. Go wash it good and look green lime. We don't afraid to tell. And if we friend go foreign and come back, care how the stated hard. You don't care about nothing for we. Nobody come in our yard. Right and boy, we are asked, where you are go with your too long on? How you mean you don't have no money? You never fly out with a plan? We don't know what kind of life them go foreign go back. But we are going like we send them in at the cold go get big work. Rich culture, diverse and extremely colorful. From Africa, England, just about everywhere the various elements pull. So next time you see a Jamaican, do not underestimate and take with simple so. For no Jamaican and no bait. We bad, we good, we nice, we grass. We always the first and we must be the last. And in between you must find a one and few. So you know nobody like we. Talk the God truth. Does you?
Yes, of course. Yes, of course. That is the poetry of Mr. Sean C. Harrison. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. He gave it to you in the dialect, in the Jamaican tongue. Yes. And he has been giving you in what we call standard English. And now he just broke away like a little baby kite. And just throwing the patois right in there. So just do it nicely. Mr. Harrison, give us another one. This is the last of the three.
The last of the three.
Yes.
Okay. You know, I always have to speak to my faith, but one thing I do know is that I write on a diverse number of topics. I mean, growing up and having had a very rounded, in a great sense, a very rounded, upbringing where my mother, especially Mrs. Patricia Harrison, made sure that, the yearly pantomimes, we attended the grand galas, going to the plazas in Kingston, the shop and the Christmases, getting myself involved in the arts in school, reciting poetry at the Martin Bay Arley School under the guidance of Mrs. Norma Chung, my grade 3 teacher, and all of that. So many persons I can attribute, to, my upbringing and, my abilities in terms of owning them too, even though I was largely self-taught. And of course, my faith is something that I have to speak about. Some people, are not for, the Christian paradigm, but I know I found many rich experiences and many rich interactions within the confines and the paradigm of the kingdom of God. And, many times when we think about, how many things can befall us even as children of God, this poem speaks to our realizing and putting it into perspective to realize that whatever we go through, whether it is mental illness, whether it was physical, sexual abuse, whether it was a loss of a loved one, whether it is just, the day-to-day, hardships of paying the bills, sickness in the body, and all kinds of things, because I didn't even speak to that, because I must say that even throughout my experience from infancy to date, I was diagnosed with a total of over 41 sicknesses, that took me at different points along my journey. And so I can even speak to how that affected the quality of my life experience to an extent that, many times I was down, many times I had to be home from school, and all of that. But I thank God that he always gave me that fighting spirit, and he was always with me to bear me up. So I want to tell everybody out there, whatever you go through, as I read this poem, as it is entitled, remember that God is telling you it is for my glory. So this is entitled For My Glory, written August 16, 2014. Would you smile when tears well, so they could tell it is for my glory? Cry when it deems you weak? Would you bear destitution to know the inner wealth and fullness of the bread of life? The shame of my name for bliss deferred to some distant place of which you have only heard? Would you lie upon the bed of languishing, all doubt vanquishing, my will and esteem trumping your comfort? Would you bid goodbye to the dearest soul, my glory in tightest hold, hoisting a beacon, diffusing the light of the world? May your answer be as becomes those few who their fading comfort spurn, who for the celestial city turn, entering the eastern gate, maimed, hobbling, but rejoicing, to know at last, when all is past, that mine was theirs, theirs mine, to tell the story, seeing in fullness, that it was indeed for my glory.
Wow. Wow. Stand by. That is For My Glory by Mr. Sean C. Harrison. Mr. Harrison, we could sit here tonight and we could read and we could read and we could read, and all of them would be one beacon of hope and light, one after the other, because of all the experiences that you have gone through. And, you know, today you are just such a resounding, you know, if I could say, rhythmic vibration, you know, because of not just what you've been through, but the fact that what you've been through stays beneath you. But it's the fact, it's your come up that I'm talking about. It is your come up that I'm emphasizing. And you have demonstrated that no matter where the you know, the ebb and flow of life, where it takes you, if you are destined to win and you have the power to do so, you are going to find that even as one thread of hope, you're going to find it and you're going to make it count. I want you to speak to our men today, men out there who are listening, young boys and especially, you know, men who feel like, yeah, they just want to take on the world. They want to go and they want to, you know, just go and be about themselves. And know that before we do that, I want to ask you something. And it is only out of curiosity, and also maybe the listeners are curious as well. You said when you were growing up, you had something that plagued you and you didn't want to talk about it. You didn't get a chance to talk. Did you resolve that issue? Did you get a chance to speak about it? Did it did that issue resolved, or you still haven't yet resolved that piece?
No, actually, that I was able to ventilate the issue.
Okay.
I must confirm that yes, there were the professionals, and there were the friends and the well-wishers, you know, persons of good moral standing, you know, who, you know, re-emphasized to me that, Sean, this is not something that you need to allow to loom. And those were exactly the words of my psychiatrist. He tells people with this struggle, do not allow it to loom so large over your Christianity. Do not allow it to loom so large over your life experience, over how much you set out to accomplish, you know. And, you know, even as one psychiatrist said in a recent interview I did, she tells people that is one aspect of our life and personality that we are not going to take over into eternity. So the truth is that I do struggle along these lines, you know, still in a marked way, but I have learned that there are more important things to focus on. I have learned that there is a God who loves us in spite of our frailties. I have learned that even inside of our own struggles, we can come up to be the example and the light and the inspiration that somebody needs looking on to go on, who can say and who will say, if he or she did it, I can do it too. If he or she endured and kept him or herself pure, kept him or herself spotless, I can do it too. And that is what I want to throw out as a lifeline to others. Not yet resolved, still struggling, still oftentimes questioning, still oftentimes agonizing with God. But I have learned that there is so much more that I can give, so much more that I can offer, that it doesn't have to overshadow the rest of my life.
Yes,
and so that is one important thing I want to leave with anyone. We all have our demons. We all have our struggles. We all have our emotional, psychological, other kinds of fights and, conflicts in our lives. But if we can see the bigger picture, especially even with the poem that I last read, that all of these things are geared towards, bringing God the glory he so deserves, then, it would be good, that we would humble ourselves under his mighty hand and allow even what sometimes seems like it is so wrong to teach us, to shape us, to mold us, and to make us better persons in, our spheres of operation and in the kingdom of God.
Okay, well said. There are two groups of people I'd like you to talk with, and you can do them in just the snippets. One, I want you to talk to parents who feel like children must be seen and not heard. I want you to talk to parents who they don't believe what their children say. I know sometimes children can be mischievous, but at least listen and check it out.
Yes.
I want you to speak to parents too. Some of the parents who are hurting themselves, they are coming from hurt. Like I say, hurt people, yeah? So they themselves are coming from hurt, and they brought up children into the world that are hurt too. And they, and the hurt continues like a perpetual phase of hurting. So I want you to speak to them first. And then when you are done, I want you to come back and I want you to speak to men. Men who are carrying childhood hurts. What to do with it, possibly, and where to begin. So let me not crowd your mind. So let's talk to the mothers first. Whatever situation they're in, let's talk to them first. From your experience.
Yes, both mothers, I can only speak from the experience of a male, in the most complete way, but I do know that Jamaica, especially being a matriarchal society, much of the weight and the burden of child rearing falls upon our mothers. And we heard of the poem, My Mother Who Fathered Me. And even though it was an expression, in the truest sense, a mother cannot father a child. A father must father a child, and a mother must mother a child.
Yes.
But I want to tell all the wonderful, sterling ladies who are holding the fort, who are holding it down, who are enduring, who are persevering, in spite of the often absentee status of the fathers and the husbands and, in the men in general. Keep on fighting. There's a place for you that is emblazoned in eternity that will never be taken away from you. Mothers sometimes, in their own frustration, end up, damaging their children, not only physically, but psychologically. Nonetheless, what can we say? If it were a fact that our fathers would have stepped up, somewhat, more, significantly in the rearing of children, even as it concerns our boys, then oftentimes the mother's job wouldn't be so hard.
Right.
So mothers, whatever it is that sometimes your child will tell you is happening in his or her life, mothers and fathers, please believe them. If a child says somebody has touched them in a way that they should not have been touched, believe them. If a child says he or she has been, told things that are not appropriate, believe them. If a child says that he or she has been taken to a place where things would have happened that should not, or that a known person to the family or a relative, near relative, who he or she stayed with would have done something inappropriate, believe them. Because we in Jamaica don't like to talk about it, but we in Jamaica have a culture of mothers lending out and renting out their daughters and having them for sale, giving them to big men who often violate their daughters, their children, and oftentimes irreparably. Mothers, I know that there are stricter, more stringent measures being employed in the Jamaican paradigm now, what with Sisoka and, Child Protection Agency, I know that there are measures being taken, But mothers, you cannot be too vigilant. Fathers, if you are there, also with the mothers, you cannot be too vigilant with your children. It only takes a half an hour. It only takes 15 minutes. It only takes 10 minutes, sometimes 5 minutes, for the child to be violated and then to be damaged irreversibly and to be hobbling through life as a result of all that would have happened to them. So please be vigilant with your children. Keep your children close. Do not allow your children to be left, in a protracted manner in the care of strangers. But I know oftentimes the mother just wants to get away. The mother just wants a breather. The mother just wants some time to herself. And this sometimes opens the way for violations to come. But mothers, I want you to know that God is looking down upon your efforts, and He is looking down with tender compassion and care into your situation, and He knows it is hard for you. It is hard for you, and for the men who are out there, take up your mantle. Take up your God-given responsibility. I am a male who was diagnosed at 19 years old with paranoid schizophrenia. Yet it was my choice to rear my nephew solely from the age of 7 years old, when the circumstances were such that it was being contemplated what to have done with him. I did not estimate how difficult, I did not realize how difficult the task it would have been to have been not only a guardian, but a guardian and a parent, a single parent, a single guardian, where I would have witnessed that young man would have grown up with a number of deficiencies as a result of my own insecurities as a mentally ill person. I do acknowledge that I would have, because coming out of my experience of mental illness, I would have contributed to some of his emotional damage too. But then I knew I did the best I could have. And when it came to nursing the sicknesses, when it came to making sure he was fed and ate and that he was protected and in a safe environment as far as I could have, I did that. And if I, as a mentally ill person, could have chosen to have reared a child the best way I knew how, you as fathers have no excuse to abandon your children. Your children need you. Your children need you, and it goes without saying. A mother cannot be a father. A grandmother cannot be a father. An auntie cannot be a father. They can try the best they can to fill a gap, but only you will have that special place in your child's heart. And it so happens that oftentimes it is a case where the father doesn't pay the family or the mother, the children in the mind, and the mother makes all the sacrifices, and as soon as the father does one thing for the child never forgets, and it seems like it eclipses everything else that the mother would have done for the child. And the mothers end up being resentful. But it only goes to show how impactful your influence is in your child's life. Go back and be a father to your children. You may be nursing hurts and traumas that make you not the best candidates to be parents, but you are parents already. You brought this life into the world. And so I must tell you, deal with your traumas. Find someone to confide in. Speak to someone. Go to God Himself and let God heal your heart. Let God make you into the man you are supposed to be. You may never have had a father, but why do you have to perpetuate that scenario and to continue and protract that cycle? You don't have to. If you know what it feels like to have an absentee father, do not yourself be an absentee father.
Yes, sir.
Be there for your children. No matter what the situation is, your daughter needs you, your son needs you. There is something that you need to plant in those children that only you can plant. Something positive, something true. And when you see what your child becomes as a result of being an involved father, an involved parent, in spite of even the mistakes you would make, I know you will be justified. Many children will tell you, Make a business with my father, because he never did it. And oftentimes our fathers get a raw deal, our men get a raw deal. Oftentimes we try. There are the fathers out there who do step up to the plate, who do try, even single fathers. And I must commend those men who are taking up the mantle and who are doing what they are supposed to do for their children. Kudos to you. God bless you. There is something that you are doing that will last into eternity when you stick with your child and you be that bedrock under their feet. And so, fathers, I know it's difficult, but just like I found a counselor, a therapist, a psychiatrist, just like I found solace in friends like Miss Odia Chambers, the Reverend Remia Gordon, Miss Eva English, even my smaller nephew's mother, my younger nephew's mother, Annette Edmond, just as I found solace in so many persons who caressed me and who succored me and who nurtured me, so too are there good people in the world waiting to, positively impact your life and positively help you to be a better person. No matter how old you are not too old for instruction. You are not too old to be told that you can do this or you can go this way. We all need guidance. And if God himself in heaven, Jehovah himself in heaven, had 24 elders sitting around his throne with whom he dialogues and consults, then you must know the importance of having someone, a shoulder to lean on, shoulders to lean on, persons to sound off on. And even Jesus Christ needed his disciples' affirmation.
Yes.
He needed his disciples' protection. He needed his disciples' friendship and confidence. And so too must you know it is not going to come to you, on a silver platter. You have to seek, oftentimes as an adult, your own healing. You have to facilitate your own healing. And I know that the world will be a better place for the fact that you dealt with your situation and that you would have averted sure disaster when you would have opened up and let someone in.
Yes, sir. That was well said. Thank you so very much. I'm sure that the people who are listening, I'm sure that they have found solace in what you said. You're so on point. You are so on point, and I really do thank you for the heartfelt, words of encouragement there. I want you now to speak to the men, young men who, like I said earlier, who are carrying childhood hurt. Just speak to them, and then you're going to tell us where we can, get your books, and we're going to wrap it up, and I'm going to play one poem for you as a contribution to you. And so just go ahead and speak to the men.
Yeah, so as for me as a young boy, perhaps if I had found someone that I could have confided in concerning my issues and the issue that burned so, hotly in my mind, I might not have broken down. Because mental illness runs in your family, it doesn't mean that you yourself have to be mentally ill. And by the way, there's a first cousin of mine who is in Kingston who is also mentally ill, who I got to understand. His breakdown actually comes out of substance abuse. Nonetheless, many of you as men, we see on every corner we go young men standing in one place needing their hands. We see young men with young men and boys with the little plastic clear cups that having that thing called rum and boom or Pepsi and boom,
Kulu.
or whatever, and we're seeing alarming rates of suicide among younger people. We are seeing alarming rates of early pregnancy, early fatherhood, and so much dysfunction among our youth. I want to tell you, I was that little boy like you who was confused. I was that little boy like you who had no one to really talk to in the way that I needed to have been, engaged and addressed. And I'm telling you just like I told the men, you don't have to keep it in. You don't have to carry that hurt forever. Whatever it is, my friends, my young friends, males, that you are dealing with, there is someone out there. There are suicide helplines. There are substance abuse helplines. There are mental health helplines. There is the church. There is also, the medical fraternity and medical system within which you can find people who are willing to sit with you and walk you through your issues and listen to you and give you solutions to the problem. Don't hold it in. Open up. If I had gotten the chance to open up earlier, maybe I wouldn't be a schizophrenic throwing tablets into my mouth every night to date. But because I didn't have that, I did the best thing I could have, which was to have turned to a place that would not have really had the full solution to my problem. And it was when I decided I'm going to seek that counseling, that formal setting within which I can speak, that I found that my questions were answered, my insecurities and fears were allayed, and that, wholeness, and that where I recognized wholeness and healing could have been mine. And so I want to let you know that there is nothing that you have gone through that is so deep and painful that you cannot break free from, that you cannot find healing from. As a little boy, and as a little child, oftentimes we have no voice, and you and Miss Wright asked me to speak to the parents who think that their children should have no voice. It was basically, in a sense, how my misheld notions that caused me, in part, to deal with my nephew in a way that was similar to that. And I think partially because of that, he did not open up to me in most instances, because I did not have, within me the wherewithal to deal with his own issues, and so no doubt he has grown with issues, but I was doing the best I could have. And I know that many parents out there are doing the best they can, but still, your children must have a voice. Your children must have a forum within which they can freely express themselves. They can talk without judgment. They can talk without criticism. They can talk without censure. Because at the end of the day, they are going to grow up when they did not get all of that, and they grow up. They are going to look back to say, you failed me in this respect. Let your children always have the choice, of coming to you or going to somebody with whom he or she can speak confidently, so that, whatever it is he or she is carrying, whatever it is you are carrying as children, can be ventilated, can be aired, and given a chance to be released into the atmosphere and, give you that fighting chance for healing and wholeness. So children, you must speak. Don't let that person who is threatening you or who is abusing you tell you that if you talk, they're going to kill you or kill your sister or kill your parent. Those are words that they use to keep you perpetually in silence, to keep you not speaking out. Do not be afraid. Open up and let someone in today. Everyone whom I have addressed through Miss Wright's questions, in what I have said just now, open up. That's the only way. Openness, begets healing. And as I always say, and in closing, as I always say, there will be no secrets in heaven. And the Bible goes as far as to say there's nothing hid that shall not be revealed. You understand?
Yes.
So, of course, if you think that you are going to be judged, if you think that you are going to be censured, just open up. You may find, like me, that people are more understanding and more accommodative than you would have ever dreamed.
Oh, yes.
There will be no secrets in heaven. Don't keep any secrets for your abusers. Don't keep any secrets for those people who do you hurt. Open up, speak, and I know you will find your healing at length.
That was beautiful. That was so beautiful. And I do thank you for that. I do thank you for lending your voice, for lending your heart, for lending your time, and for sharing your experience in such a profound way so that those who are hurt, or have been hurt by whatever life threw at them, they now know that, hey, here's this brother. He's been, as they say over here, he's been to the doghouse. But look at it now. You are now in the master's house. Yeah. And you are commanding your own respect. And I do give thanks to the Most High. I do salute you. And, I know that you'll continue to heal as you get by, and you'll continue to find new strength. And, you'll just continue to excel in every which way. Your poems are very profound. Your poems are beautiful. And it's just a joy to hear you read them. They're well written, and you have such a great command of the English language, which is superbly beautiful. And even the patois, you just dash it away, and that too in its own right is perfect. Perfect patois. I'm telling you.
Yes, thank you.
So,
thank you.
Mr. Harrison, we would have to come back another time and do the rest because it's so extensive. Now, for persons who are listening and want to support you with your books, can you just tell us where we, just tell us where we can get them? And if you even give me the link, I can go back and I can put it up when I replay this and when I put it on the YouTube, the Afjam Radio YouTube page. So just give us the link where persons can get your thing, or if they want to support you, give us the link.
Well, my books, first of all 12 publications are available on the Amazon platform for sale. All you have to do is go and input in the Amazon search bar Sean C. Harrison books, and you will see all 12 publications. There is a link that I have that takes you to my Author Central page where all of my books are featured, and my bio all at once on the Amazon page. Let me see if I remember it. You can go amazon.com/author/Sean C. Harrison. That's SEANCHARRISON. Amazon.com/author AUTHOR/SEANCHARRISON. That takes you directly to my Author Central page where you can see my books listed, the prices, and you can buy with your credit card and all of that. And I have, you did not mention my music, Miss Wright, but you can find my music on the YouTube platform as well as on the RiverofNation.com platform. You can find my music there. And, you can freely listen to my music, and you can go onto my social media pages and you will find, so much of my works there that is free of charge. And because, I actually am not at this point in my life earning from my creative works, I do welcome donations and contributions so that I can continue to do what I'm doing, live my dreams, empower myself, eat food, sustain my own life, and reach out to my community.
Amen.
So if there's anybody who wants to reach out to me with donations and contributions, especially after you have seen the vast works that I've been doing, there are my 2 Facebook pages. There is, of course, my YouTube channel. There's my Twitter account. There's my TikTok account. There is also what else is there? There are also other websites on which you can find my poetry, allpoetry.com, as well as poemhunter.com. And, if you go onto YouTube, you will see so many other interviews that I have done, radio and television interviews. If you do a general search with my name, Sean C. Harrison, Jamaican poet, you will also see newspaper articles written on me in local and international newspapers. And you will see so much of my recited poetry right there on the internet. You will see my Christian discourses and inspirational writings on Facebook also. One of my Facebook pages, Poetry of Sean C. Harrison, also carries my poetry free of charge. I urge you, those of you out there who have been touched and moved by the story of my life, please, I am not earning at this point in time, so I need all the help I can get. So my number is 1-876-343-9783. That's 1-876-343-9783. My email address is antofer@gmail.com. That's ANT as in Tom, OP as in Patrick, HER@gmail.com. ANTOPHER@gmail.com. And again, one last time, I repeat my number. It's 1-876-343-9783.
Thank you.
That's basically it.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you so much. People, I do hope that you reach out and that you support the brother. You see his work. He has a very extensive work. I do hope that from his life, everything that he's been through, he is most deserving of your contribution. He's most deserving of your donations. If you feel it in your heart, feel led in your heart to do so. He's most deserving. So, I really do ask you to support him. Whether you're going to buy a book or you're going to just donate what the Most High laid on your heart, it will be well received and it will be welcome, right? And if for any reason somebody did not get his number or whatever, you can always reach out to me here at Afjam Radio. The number here, the direct line for the station is 1-980-400-1040. That's 980-400-1040. Or if you want to contact me on
I've been through this, so I'm going to continue to do this because I'm strong. I'm not going to sit here and feel sorry.
Yes, of course.
Poetry is
Did you hear that, mister?
I must admit I missed some of the words, but I believe I got the general idea.
Okay, I will send you the link.
I missed some of the words, but I think we can always revisit it later. Yes.
And there was a little glitch. I don't know, towards the end what was happening. It's like it was looping my and it was echoing from some point, maybe from the speakers. But I will send you that link to that special piece. It was beautiful.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, you're most welcome. It was beautiful, and I do thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing your story. And I know this is the first time, but it's certainly not going to be the last. Mr. Harrison, may the Most High go before you. May He watch over you. May He give you peace. May He open doors for you. And may He grant you the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. May He give you favor in all that you do. And may your healing come forth speedily.
Yes, indeed. Thank
This
you so
has
much.
been, you're welcome. This has been Afjam Radio. My name is Dianna Wright. It's now 8:49 p.m. in the evening rather. And we want to say thank you to our guest. And we do hope, we hope in the near future that he'll come back. Yeah, he will come back. And then we will delve more into more of his work and to see where he is right about now. And this song is a song called To Dust. So I just want to leave you with this one from Mr. Harrison.
In my life, so many troubles come my way. So many seas I have to face. So many mountains I must climb. Sometimes I ask myself the question why. But oh, I know if I just trust, my hopes won't turn to dust. If I just hold on for one more minute, God will rescue me while I'm in this. If I just pray every single day, I know He'll help me, and my hopes won't turn to dust. In my life, I take much comfort knowing that somehow with God there is a plan, and though He slay me, I will sing with all my heart, my song of praise to Him. So I will pray and I will trust. I know my hopes won't turn to dust. If I just hold on for one more minute, God will rescue me while I'm in this. If I just pray every single day, I know He'll help me, and my hopes won't turn to dust. I know my God will be there to hold me up when I fall, when I'm in need. His name forever I'll call. If I just hold on for one more minute, God will rescue me while I'm in this. If I just pray every single day, I know He'll help me, and my hopes won't turn to dust. I know He'll help me, and my hopes won't turn to dust.
That's a beautiful song of Mr. Sean C. Harrison, To Dust. If I just hold on one more minute, I know God will help me, and my hopes won't turn to dust. These will be added to the collection of the Afjam music. So from time to time, you will be hearing them. And especially because, you know, we do have like an inspirational section, like program too, where, you know, these inspirational pieces will be specifically there, like on certain days of the week, which I'll let you know, and you can can always go and listen and just fill up and feed up on these inspirational pieces. Well, it is now 5 minutes to the hour of 9 o'clock. I do thank you for being with me from the start of the program, and I'm so sorry about the little glitch at the end. I don't know what was happening. You know, it was so good. Some little error, some little demon, as they would say, had to go in there and kind of mess things up. But you know, like Mr. Harrison, we don't stay at the bottom, we rise to the top.
And thanks be to the Creator that we were able to fix it. Hey, Pastor David, thank you so very much, Pastor David Grant, and your beautiful wife, Juliet. Good evening to you and welcome, yes, to your family as well. Thank you to all the listeners all across the world. Imara, big up yourself. You don't know? Yes, man, this was a very fulfilling evening. And thank you. I hear the train coming in the distance, people, so it's already late. I think this is the last train that's running, so I got to get my butt up out of here, yeah? And just go on home. Yeah? I hope you've reached home nicely, safely, and tucked in and, sipping on your mint tea and, with your legs, as I said, in Jamaica, your foot cock up on the chair. But you're enjoying yourself, people. Thank you for the company. Peace and blessings, love and light. And come back again tomorrow where we do this all over again. Until next time, may the Most High go before you. May He watch over you. May He give you His peace. May He open doors for you. And if there are some doors that are closed in your face, may He give you the understanding to know that, yes, there are some doors that do need to be closed. Until tomorrow, we do this again. And I say, ta-ta.